Welcome to the Big Idea Food Podcast. I'm Andrew Ive and your host for today. We'll be talking to Rochelle and Samantha from New Breed Meats, a really interesting company. Stick around, listen, and by all means at the end, add your comments and questions and follow up with either me or Rochelle or Samantha if you have questions about the company. Look forward to engaging with you. Thank you. Okay, Samantha, Rochelle, New Breed Meats, welcome to the Big Idea Food Podcast. How are you both?
I am doing well. We're doing well. Good to be here.
Okay, we've had some technical issues running up to starting this podcast, so if things fritz up, we're just going to keep on going and you guys will just have to forgive us. Rochelle, Samantha, tell us about New Breed Meats. What's the story?
I'll let Samantha start since she kind of has a even more of a starting point than I do.
Yeah, well, in New Breed Meats was really the result of over 20 years experience living a plant-based lifestyle, and really doing a lot of community health work, and seeing the need in various communities, such as more of the underserved communities, just seeing a need to allow food really to be that channel whereby change could be made. And so New Breed Meats is a passion project for us. We truly view it as a mission where we're trying to come to the world with absolutely amazing products that will allow people to make the seamless transition from where they're currently at to more of a whole plant-forward lifestyle.
Okay, so if I'm in the audience, I'm sort of thinking to myself, do we need another one? Do we need another kind of plant-based food company? I know you guys are different, so let's make sure everybody else on the call or on the podcast knows how you guys are different.
Sure.
So I can chime in on that, and then Samantha can also jump in as well. Well, obviously we have a delicious and just awesome taste. We've worked really hard to make sure that the product that's being delivered is going to be something that consumers are used to, right? So it's the same meaty flavor, the same meaty texture, and all of those things. And I would say that our products may be different than other products on the market. It has a very subtle taste that allows you to be able to incorporate it in some of your favorite dishes. So whether you want to do a lasagna, a ziti, Mexican, whatever that is, it's very versatile in your ability to use it. We also have, when it comes to nutrition, we have up to 60 or 70%, depending on the two leading brands, less saturated fat than the leading brands on the market. We have less ingredients, so it's a bit of a leaner label that we are working with, and we're able to again achieve all of that while making sure that the eating experience is something that no one has to give up. So you're getting a better healthy product, but you're also still getting the awesome flavor and taste and all of those things that people like and are looking for.
So one of the things I've been asked many, many times, whether it's on panels or whatever, isn't plant-based more expensive, and isn't plant-based more complex because you've got lots of ingredients? Isn't it quite processed? You've just outlined that you've gone for a far simpler, kind of cleaner label, more nutritious. Has that been sort of a central tenet, and how have you delivered on that?
Yeah, I would definitely say it has been a central tenet, and we are going to continue to improve and innovate on the product line as well. But the way that we were really able to deliver on that was through several years of R&D work and just working with a number of different suppliers. We really took our time to source ingredients. We call it selectively sourcing really high quality ingredients that will be able to deliver the various functionalities that we needed for it to deliver from a nutritional standpoint, from a taste standpoint, really to offer a product that could truly compete in the market. And you're right. I mean, we're not going to come out and say, this is the absolute healthiest food for you, but we definitely know that as people are making that transition, they need a little bit of help along the way, a little bit of hand holding. And we kind of see this as that type of medium where it's definitely better than what they're eating before, and it's still helping them on their journey to actually do better. And we actually intend on coming out with different product lines as well that's more of that nature, more of a whole food plant-based experience. So we're really excited for everything that New Breed Meats has lined up as well.
So in terms of that,
I'll just
sorry,
add
Rochelle.
really quickly, if I can,
Yeah.
Andrew. One of the awesome things when you think about New Breed, to your question, is New Breed didn't come up in a laboratory, right, with these scientists kind of running around and putting things in these little chemical vats and then kind of stirring it together. It actually came up in Samantha's kitchen, a home kitchen, home style kind of approach to it. And so we really kind of value that. We want people to realize that it's something that it's relatable. It's not some sort of Frankenstein kind of situation experience, but it's something that someone created in their kitchen. And it really has that flavor and that just home style appeal to it.
Got it. And you've talked about a transition from, consuming meat to kind of plant-based. I'm guessing you mean from a product perspective, it's more sort of, as you say, home style. Talk to us about the products. What are those products? And how do you feel that they're sort of holding people by the hand as they move or take that transition?
Yeah, so we have currently 3 products in the line, and they are plant-based burgers, grounds, and breakfast sausage patties. And we really chose these as the launch pad to create other products in the future. But we figured that, the burger, I mean, it's just so iconic to American culture and really has gone worldwide as a symbol of comfort food and of just, everything, that communicates with people and really resonates with them from a childhood perspective and growing up. So we wanted to have an offering that they were able to still experience that, but obviously in a much healthier way, with our products containing up to 75% less saturated fat. And then we also wanted to have a different types of meat. So wherever the meat is being consumed, whether it be from a lunch standpoint, a dinner, we wanted to have foods for breakfast as well. So we wanted to have a full range that people throughout the day could be able to enjoy really delicious tasting, sustainable proteins.
Great.
From New Breed Meats.
From a target consumer perspective, who are you focused on kind of grabbing hold of from a consumer perspective?
Sure. So I'll jump in on that. So we have 2 target audiences. Number one is the African American or Black community, if you will. They represent the fastest growing vegan demographic. And just because of Samantha and I heritage and some of the things, in our environment and how we've grown up, we definitely feel like we're targeted to really be able to reach them in a pronounced way. And secondarily, we're also looking after that flexitarian, right? That person that's not saying, I'm going to marry being plant-based fully and totally, but I like to have options. I like to go in between. And so we're targeting those as well. And combined, they make up about 40% of the population.
And one of you is based right now in California. That's the one with the internet issues and the technology glitches.
That'll be me.
So Samantha's in California. Rochelle is in kind of true COVID fashion on exactly the other side of the country in Georgia.
Yes, we're social distancing.
Yeah, social distancing to the max.
Yeah. We take it seriously.
Actually, did you guys start during the pandemic or were you pre-pandemic?
Yeah, so we were definitely pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I know that there are kind of YouTube videos and things of your products at shows and so on where people are sort of going bananas for the taste of your food. I didn't know if they were done during actually no one was wearing a mask. It must have been pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we had our first kind of soft launch 2019. Okay. So it was definitely pre-pandemic. We started really working on the business 2018. So it predates the whole pandemic experience.
And yet you guys have managed to kind of hustle your way through it and build a business during a tough time. So hat tip to both of you. Where is the product launching or going to be launched, given that you're on two separate sides of the country? Somewhere in the middle, Chicago?
No, not at all. Actually, Samantha has come to her senses and she's going to be moving closer to this side of the country. But we're looking to focus our initial launch in the Atlanta area. Simply because, as we said, one of our target audience are African Americans, and Atlanta has a large population for that, a large professional population. There's a lot of plant-based and vegan options that are coming up within this context. We're also looking at Brooklyn. We were both raised in Brooklyn, as well as LA, and then a nationwide push.
Okay, so Atlanta first, and so basically the East Coast for the first year or so. And is this going to be direct to consumer? Is this grocery, food service? What's the go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so go-to-market strategy for us looks like a tiered launch approach. So we are definitely wanting to focus in on the food service market. Want to get our feet wet in that area, get some strong consumer recognition around our brand. And also at the same time, we do want to be available in certain retail outlets, key retail outlets in the various regions where we'll be launching. So it'll be a combined effort between retail and food service, with heavier on the food service side than the retail.
So as far as food service is concerned, is that universities, is that restaurants, hospitals, schools? What are you kind of going to focus on?
We're actually looking at a combination of all of them. So we've kind of scouted out some of these different categories, if you will, that we want to focus on. So we want to do both QSRs. We're looking at schools. We're looking at hospital systems. Samantha and I like to say we're shaking every tree to see what fruits can fall down, and so we're not limiting kind of what we're trying to do in that respects.
That's perfect. So take us through the journey to today. Have there been any sort of challenges or key obstacles that have, threatened to knock you off the rails?
I would say one of our biggest obstacles, and Samantha even more can attest to it because she had the job of doing this, was the manufacturing question and being able to scale it. And so, as we mentioned initially, this all started in a small kitchen in Northern California. And as we started to make the product available, we were doing D2C a little bit initially. It was just so much, Samantha can tell you as a mother of a 5-year-old as well, to put together these products and then needing them to be shipped out. It was a lot. And manufacturing, trying to find a manufacturer that would meet our specification, that was a little bit of a headache as well. There aren't many to choose from in terms of a plant-based product. And so I would say that has been one of our biggest hurdles. And we're happy that we've gotten that all squared away. And so we have no scaling issues, but that was definitely a headache.
So Samantha, take us through some of those headaches. Finding that manufacturer, getting them up to speed, having them invest their time and energy into a pre-launch company can't have been easy.
No, not at all. I remember just, the days of going in a commercial kitchen and, getting small scale equipment and having to do so many batches of product because we had opened up our D2C, our online portal, and orders were coming in, and here I was, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning producing these products in the kitchen overnight because I couldn't have any daytime hours. The kitchen was being occupied. So I was on the overnight graveyard shift, making all these products and having to come home and deal with my 5-year-old at 6 a.m. So it definitely was a challenge. And then being able to trying to find a manufacturer that's willing to work with, a young startup. So we're just really thankful for the network that we have developed of advisors that was really able to kind of lead us in a certain direction and really give us a word into some of these manufacturers. I think it's really important to develop and build up your professional network, because it's largely dependent upon it's this trust factor that's taking place now, and I honestly believe that had it not been for us being able to build up this network and getting that kind of lead into our current manufacturer, then we wouldn't have been where we are now, where we're really able to scale up at this point, producing anywhere from up to 1 million pounds a week or whatever is required. So we're just super excited for the ability to be able to do that. Funny enough, we were just last year, we were thinking that we were going to go with a different manufacturer, and they kind of flaked out on us last minute and said that they're pulling out of the business altogether, and we were like, okay, well, here we are again. So we thought that we crossed that bridge, and it kind of just shut down for us at right there and then. But we're thankful that we were able to kind of pick back up, and we're in a really good place now in terms of manufacturing. Just really excited for what's going to take place.
So for those that don't know, a contract manufacturer is a large company that has machinery and automation processes and team members that can produce for you, so that you don't need to be in a commercial kitchen at 4 o'clock in the morning running home to your 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Now you went through that. Now you've got a contract manufacturer that's able to manufacture your product in a total quality, health and safety, price competitive way. You went through that challenge of manufacturing in the middle of the night, starting a company with a young child. What would be your advice to other mothers of young children who want to start a food company and are thinking about whether they should or whether they shouldn't?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, first of all, really follow your passion. If this is something that is really near and dear to your heart, then go with it. If it's something, because that's really the only thing that will keep you. I mean, I was, in ideation mode since 2017, and how am I going to get this thing going? Just immersing myself in the industry and studying all sorts of papers and so on. So if you're willing to put in the work, and sometimes it's going to take long sleepless nights, sometimes it's going to take really early mornings. So but I feel like if you have the passion, if you have the drive and the motivation to succeed, then you should absolutely do it. What's interesting for me is, yes, I have a 5-year-old. I'm also homeschooling this 5-year-old, so it's a double challenge. But we're hoping in the very soon future to build up a really strong team that can help to mitigate some of the things that we currently have on our plate as it stands right now. But definitely in the beginning stages, I would say do something that you're really passionate about, that you really believe in, and not something that's necessarily trendy, if you will, that's kind of a passing thought. So yeah, that's I would say is my what I think people should do.
Awesome. Now, one thing mothers know is sleepless nights and early mornings. So yeah, the training is already there.
I think we've already been trained. That's right. It's an extension of that.
There you go. Now, the great thing is, now that you've got it over to a contract manufacturer, they're doing the heavy lifting in terms of manufacturing. If anyone's having sleepless nights, it's probably them. Instead of you. Your sleepless nights are probably for entirely different reasons, like fundraising and things like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So when does the product line hit the market? The grounds, the burgers, and the breakfast patties?
So we are aiming for a June launch. We are lining up some final touches, getting some finishing touches down on our design packages and all of these things, but we are aggressively looking for a early June kind of all-out launch.
Early June, awesome. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm wanting to support you, if I'm wanting to kind of try the products, if I'm in the demographic and interested in what you're doing and why, how do I find you? How do I find out where you're going to be? I'm guessing your website, your social media, those sorts of things.
Yeah, you can find us at www.newbreedmeats.com. That's newbreedmeats.com. And that's our handle on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on LinkedIn at that handle.
And so if you're in the food service category, restaurants, schools, hospitals, if you're a broker to any of those categories, and you think that a product line that's plant-based, that's simpler, not created in the kind of Frankenstein labs with the chemicals, but in a Northern California home kitchen, then you should reach out to New Breed Meats. Is that right?
That's right.
We'll be waiting to talk with you, so you can start calling us right away.
Okay.
Yes.
A couple more questions. I wanted to make sure we got this in now and not at the end, because not everyone listens through to the end. But we talked about some of the challenges. How have you found the whole fundraising process? Have you done any of that to date, or has it mostly been friends, families, and credit cards?
It's always a little bit of both. But I would say where we are right now, we're kind of in the middle of this whole fundraising from the institutional investment standpoint, from the VC standpoint. We kind of started that whole journey, I would say, Q4 last year, where we essentially approached an angel, which happened to have a fund as well, or was building up a fund at that time. So we were kind of able to get our foot in the door at that point, and that kind of opened up a whole new world for us with VCs and all of what all comes with that and their requirements. And so now where we are with the fundraising, we do still have an open round pre-seed. We're looking for a pre-seed investment, and it's been a definitely a journey. Putting together financial projections, looking at our target consumer list and all the rest. It definitely has been an adventure, I would say. But we're excited to move forward with that and see what comes out of it. We're looking for a close soon and very soon, so we can move on to bigger and better things.
What do you guys find surprising about raising money and raising money for a company?
I think one of it is, we've had to get this pitch deck, and it feels like it's just a never-ending process. There's all these iterations. There's all these iterations to it. But I think it's amazing how much work that you put into getting 5 minutes or 3 minutes with an individual. That's kind of like you're pulling this, you're pulling that, and you're trying to cram everything into this thing so that you can highlight the things that you feel are going to be the selling points. And so I think it's been really interesting to be able to kind of get your message very concise and to think things through in a very kind of focused fashion, rather than, we're doing this, pulling things out of the air. I think that has been really, really interesting in process and really kind of mapping things out in our minds in such a way that we're able to communicate things in a simple way.
You think you're there? You think you've got that 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minute pitch down?
I think that we're just about there. I think that there's always room for improvement. So we will never, ever say that we've had it locked down. But we've had some good coaches at this accelerator called Big Idea Ventures that's been helping us along a little. So we think we're just about there.
Fantastic. One of the crazy things is that you're right. I can't recall who said it. Someone said, I wanted to write you a short note, but I didn't have the time, because it takes a long time to sort of really think through how you're going to say something succinctly. I obviously can't do that from a question perspective, so I'm not sure why I So a couple more quick questions continue on. You mentioned that you're targeting the African American community or Black community with your product as one of the key areas of focus. Are there other brands doing that? As far as you're aware, in the plant-based categories, are you guys one of the firsts to target in on that category?
I wouldn't. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I can start out and then you can kind of chime in. I
Mhm.
would say that we are amongst one of the first. I mean, we had that soft launch as was mentioned 2019. So I don't know of any other ones at that time that was doing something similar as far as targeting this group specifically. And Rochelle, you can kind of chime in with another piece that just came up on the scene.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, I think when you come up with a good idea, there's always 10 others that the idea is percolating in their minds. And so there are, I would say that, there's another brand that we've identified that are seeking to do the same things. And even some of the larger brands, we see advertising, we're like, hey, look what they're doing now. So I think that there are some individuals that are coming into that space. I still think that from a very practical standpoint, from an ability maybe to really identify with that demographic in a real way, that we have a strong position and an authentic voice to kind of speak to that demographic in a way that not everyone that is attempting that push might be able to.
And what made you focus in on that particular demographic? What made you think the time is right now to sort of build a whole brand and a whole product set around one particular demographic?
Yeah, well, again, just, with our background in community health advocacy and just being immersed in these communities, we have seen firsthand the degrading effects that diet has on someone's outlook in life. And, in light of just working with individuals just from a health perspective and doing a number of seminars and consultations with people and talking with people really on the floor level, we realized that something needed to be done. And in so doing, we always had this in mind. I actually wrote a cookbook a number of years ago. I would say it's about 10 years ago now, called the Better Way Cookbook. And again, it was really to really hone in on individuals trying to make that transition. It's always that's always a story. How do I give up meat? How do I not use these things, all these recipes that I grew up eating, and that's very cultural to me? How do I make that transition? So that has always kind of been a part of us from the very beginning. And so really, I would say that the fact that we're able to hone in on them, and then with the stats coming out that, people are recognizing that they no longer want to be on this, what is called a slave man's diet. They realize that the foods that they have been accustomed to eating for so many generations have really been contributing to their demise, if you will. And so I think there's been an enlightening that has been taken place, which is why we're seeing the numbers coming in from a data perspective that, 31% of African Americans are actively seeking to reduce their meat consumption, and they now classify as vegan or plant-based. And I think that those numbers are astounding, and to really be able to reach them in a very authentic way, just understanding the mindset, understanding, we're not just, big food coming in and trying to push a product catered to you specifically. We understand the struggle. We know what it's like. We know the foods that they're accustomed to eating because we fall under that umbrella.
Awesome. From a dish perspective, you've got the burgers, you've got the ground. You've got the grounds and you've got the patties. Do you guys have some favorite recipes, favorite dishes, favorite foods that you like to create using, let's say, the grounds? What are some of the sort of, if you were going to encourage someone to say, hey, you can have delicious, amazing food that will give you the ability to transition from meat to plant-based, take our grounds, and here's 3 amazing recipes that you can do easily, inexpensively, quickly in your home. What would be those 2 or 3 recipes? I'm not sure if either of you have any.
Yeah, well, I can start out with one at least.
Mhm.
Just from a Caribbean standpoint, both Rochelle and my husband are of Jamaican descent, and of course, yay. And first thing that comes to mind as far as grounds is concerned is that classic Jamaican beef patty. So, whereas traditionally, obviously, this was made using cow, animals from cow meat. We're happy to say that it can easily transition to more of a wholesome plant-based meal by substituting that with the new breed meats ground. So we're really excited about a new breed patty, Jamaican patty. Rochelle, I think that should be next on the list.
Yeah, definitely. We've actually been talking about doing a line extension of more authentic Caribbean flavored kind of products.
So they've come with spices and that sort of thing?
Yes. Yeah, we've been talking about
flaky
that.
crust for all the Europeans and bakers out there that love that flaky crust and then that meaty texture that's just perfectly seasoned and spiced. I think it'll be amazing. So that for sure, I would say could be in that line.
Yeah, and I think one of the recipes for me, I've always grown up in New York. I've always loved Italian food, and so I will take those grounds and I will work up a really good baked ziti. I just love baked ziti, and so I find it just a wonderful alternative. As people generally use these beef grounds, it just gives such a beautiful flavor, and it's so interesting. I was cooking it up for my brother-in-law, who is not anywhere near plant-based at all. But, as we're just cooking it up, preparing it for to put it into the dish, and he's smelling it, and then he asked to taste it, and he was like, wow, what is this? And so I just love, I think just that Italian, I think it's a very good substitute for your lasagnas, for your baked ziti, those pasta dishes. It's just bellissimo.
Yes. Pizza topping, tacos, I mean, you name it. Enchiladas.
So yesterday, because I don't have new breed meats available to me yet, yesterday was tagliatelle bolognese, and it was the bolognese was made from button mushrooms and mitsaki mushrooms. I always get the pronunciation wrong. From a company called Smallhold, and I basically diced up all of these mushrooms, put a little bit of red wine, reduced red wine. Kind of really cooked it through thoroughly with all of the with all of the sort of pepper and truffle, salt and so on, and then just before the end put in all of the tomatoes, and it looked and had the texture of bolognese sauce, zug as we call it in my Italian grandmother's household, with tagliatelle, and it was. Now, I made a bit of a mistake. You're supposed to add a dash of sriracha to it just to give it that little bit of a kick. I'm like a spice nut, so I was like, and my wife is trying to eat this kind of plant-based bolognese, and she's like,
on fire,
way too much spice, poor lady. So I think it's if you're creative, if you're prepared to spend 20 minutes in a kitchen with some great ingredients like new breed meats, you can make incredible dishes. You just need to not think everything's going to be a 3-minute press button meal. Anything you do in 3 minutes can't be good for you.
Yeah, I think that's the trick sometimes is making cooking an experience, like enjoying it, and maybe it's family time. And there's so many ways I think that those 20 minutes can go by so quickly.
So for me, it was a glass of wine, and my wife was listening to some Edith Piaf, which is a French singer from the 1940s, something like that. Okay. And I don't know, it was just something out of a movie for me yesterday, making this plant-based bolognese. So I'm really looking forward to when we can try your products. Do you think you'll experiment with some of the kind of Caribbean iterations, spices, flavors at some point and see if people like it?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
On our list. And we think they will. We really think that they will.
I think so too. So Brooklyn and Georgia, I don't know. I'll find a way of getting your products when they're available. And this is going to be June, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's what we're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So last question before we sort of go through this wrap up. But We've talked about mothers who are considering starting a company. Let's back it up just a little. If anyone is thinking of starting a food-based business, what would be one or two of the things you'd wish you knew starting out that you could maybe communicate to them?
Wow.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, has been an interesting kind of learning experience is I feel like there's so many things that you don't know that you need to know. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know what you don't know. And I would definitely say I think that we've done a decent job of really trying to research things out, but maybe some of the resources that we became aware of a little bit later on, it would have been really neat to have them kind of upfront. And so I think that the quicker that you are able to maybe really kind of connect with individuals, because sometimes there are nuances that, yes, you can read a checklist, but there are nuances that you don't even realize that you're like, hey, I need to think about that. Oh, there's this and there's that. And I think really being able to connect with individuals early on that are able to help you to understand those finer things that maybe people kind of overlook in these general kind of to-do checklist things are helpful as well. So I would say, yeah, to kind of expand that network in that way and to try to make sure that you're connecting to the right resources and you're getting a good understanding of where you're trying to go earlier on so that you can mitigate maybe chasing rabbit holes unnecessarily.
And you think maybe you got some of that from Big Idea Ventures when you kind of joined up with us?
Yeah, I think definitely, one of the, two of the individuals, particularly as a part of the cohort that was really helpful was the individual in sales, Michael and Ricardo. They were just so priceless. Like we had all these questions. Okay, we need to talk to the manufacturer. What should we say? How do we position ourselves? How do we make sure that we're not being taken advantage of, that we know what to ask for? And those two men just especially were just always on it. Like you'll just finish the text and Michael responds in like a half a second.
Always available. So
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter when, always available, always willing to help. So just really excited for this community that we have now, come into, called Big Idea Ventures. And I would also say that there are other organizations as well. So I would probably try to align myself with organizations that are really for the industry. So understanding what those organizations are and those associations and really seeing what kind of assistance that you can get from them as well. So I would just lean on whatever information we can get. And, you kind of become this person that kind of pieces things together. There's so many moving parts all the time, whether it be from legal, whether it be from manufacturing, whether it be from sales and marketing. I mean, there's so many different angles that, you kind of have to make one big whole. So just being able to quickly transition from one thing to the next. You really just have to be really quick on the draw on that.
So follow up then. You mentioned a couple of organizations that people can kind of engage with that can be helpful. Do you have one or two, just the names of them that people can go connect with? So, for example, from my point of view, Good Food Institute, GFI.
Yes.
Those guys would be one.
Yeah. I was actually just going to say that. The Good Food Institute. That's number one. Absolutely, just an amazing group of people that are so willing to help. And I got help early on with them, just being on the founder calls that used to happen on Fridays and just, all the material that's put out. So absolutely GFI, no question. And then I would probably also say the Plant-Based Foods Association. That is another one that is up and coming and really trying to kind of pull this industry together as well. So yeah, definitely those two, I would say.
Fantastic. So GFI, Plant-Based Food Association, you mentioned Michael Barrow and Ricardo.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good list to start off with. Okay, so if people want to help you, whether it's as consumers, whether it's because they want to just support you, whether it's because their food restaurants, food distributors, retailers, brokers, etc. Newbreedmeats.com.
Yes.
That's right.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, the same.
New Breed
Instagram,
Meats.
same. Yeah. Twitter, the same. So just find us at New Breed Meats on all of those.
And they need to talk to Rochelle and Samantha, right?
Yes. Rochelle. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rochelle Mekowulu. My name, I know it's kind of difficult. So if you look for New Breeds on LinkedIn, I'm connected to that. And of course, Samantha Edwards as well.
So Rochelle, Mekowulu.
You've got it.
That's the last name.
Yeah.
Samantha, what's your last name?
Edwards.
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 I couldn't spell that. Thank God you did that for me. Mekowulu, I was pretty down with.
You were on it. Yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
I had that one. But Edwards, I don't know. That just messed me up. All right. If anyone wants to connect with, and they should because they're amazing people, Rochelle or Samantha, please do reach out to New Breed Meats through the multiple platforms. I thank you for your time. Where are you guys going to be in 5 years? Where do you see New Breeds being? Is it everywhere US? Is it everywhere global? Is it, what? Give me a prediction for 2026.
Wow, 2026. I'll start, and Rochelle, you can close us off.
Okay.
Definitely nationwide, no question. We actually have our sights set on nationwide in just a mere 2 years. So that'll definitely be the case. And then, we do have some things that I think we could explore from an international perspective, and in Australia and some other countries that are really keen on the plant-based space. We have connections with a number of different places, even in regards to our faith-based community. That's really a global community. So I think that there could be connections made from a global standpoint as well. And
yeah, I would just add to that. Definitely New Breed Meats. We want it to become a household name for the delicious product that we have, but also for the change that as a company we're driving in communities. Our mission is very important to us. So we definitely in 5 years know that people will have a clear sense of that. And yeah, that would be what I would add to what Sam has said.
I'm surprised you didn't say the first place after the US is going to be Jamaica and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because if you guys are creating a range of plant-based foods with the spices and the tastes of the Caribbean, you can't not sell it in the Caribbean, right?
Oh yeah, no, we will definitely have it in the Caribbean. You see, the crazy thing about it, Andrew, is when you sell it in Brooklyn, it's like you're selling it in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so we'll go.
As long as it's in Brooklyn and Miami. Yeah, as long as it's Brooklyn, South Florida, I think we have the Caribbean covered.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time today, Rochelle, Samantha, New Breed Meat. Thank you. I'm going to press pause, and if anyone needs to reach out to you, please do so. And even if you don't need to reach out, friendly people always wanting to talk to new folks. One sec. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with New Breed Meats, Rochelle and Samantha. If you have any questions about the company, please do reach out to them via newbreedmeats.com or via one of the social media platforms where they have a presence. If you have any questions about the Big Idea Food podcast or want to reach out and just give us your feedback, my name is Andrew Ive. I'm the host, and you can find me at bigideaventures.com or via LinkedIn. Please do like and subscribe this podcast, this YouTube video, or wherever you're consuming it. Feel free to forward it to friends, relatives, and anyone that might be interested in young founders, great companies, and how we're changing the world. Thanks very much, and we'll be back next week. Bye.